Hello and welcome to the How Could You Forget podcast, a podcast where your hosts Gurdon, Lexi, and Eric come together and learn about a topic that maybe you'd forgotten about, never heard about, or it's simply too good to forget. Unlike most episodes, I do need to stop and tell you right at the beginning that this episode will be talking about a very taboo topic, the 1900s. No, but in all seriousness, this episode talks about brothels and the concept and phenomenon of sex, as this is our special Valentine's Day episode this year. While we won't be graphic or anything super explicit, there will be talks and the goings-ons of things that you would assume to go on in and about a brothel in the early 1900s. That being said, though, how could you forget the fanciest brothel in American history?
The goings-ons of inns and brothels.
Oh, you don't have to call me out right
Should be going on in my brothel. Are we past 30 seconds yet? I don't know.
The going-ons of brothels and brothels be goings-ons is actually the goings-ons of brothels?
I quit the podcast.
My brain, it's too early in the morning for this. Ignore that, it's 1:30.
It is almost 1. So, my fellow co-host, today I would like to talk to you about the wild and somehow one of the most impactful brothels ever to exist. The Everly Club. Let's start with...
It's not the Playboy Mansion, that's funny.
It is not. Well, that's probably in the... I mean, is it technically a brothel? Or is it just like...
I mean, honestly, I think it would be like legally categorized as one, even though like it wasn't open to the public, you couldn't just go. There was a lot of stuff going on in the Playboy Mansion that...
there was a lot of bunnies there, so...
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there.
Nice little sanctuary.
It is. They just take care of a bunch of little bunnies and rabbits.
Yeah, they just adopt rabbits. That's
okay.
all they do. It's such a noble cause. You should go over there and say thank you.
Anyway, we're not talking about that today. We're talking about, you said the Everly Club?
The Everly Club, yes.
Okay.
So, before we even get to the club, we have to talk about the creators and future owners of this gold-trimmed castle of hedonism, is how I've described it in my article.
Oh my goodness. You came up with that, or that was in an article?
You'll see why I called it the gold-trimmed castle. It's not even really a castle. It was two mansions that they pushed together, but I came up with that one for myself.
I'm loving everything about this so far. Okay, go on.
But they were two sisters named Ada and Minna Sims who were born into a wealthy family from Virginia that ended up losing most of their money in the aftermath of the Civil War. This all, by the way, they were born in, I believe, 1878.
All right.
1864. So, sorry, I was wrong.
A little bit off.
Oh, wow. Yeah, like right before the end of the Civil War. Wow.
Yeah. They were sisters. And these sisters decided to run away from their lives and unhappy marriages to some no-name schmucks that I couldn't find their names and become traveling actors who actually ended up getting stuck in Omaha, Nebraska, of all places.
Hey, yo, Henry Doorly Zoo, let's go. Represent.
Let's hear it for the zoo. And in Omaha, Nebraska, the two sisters decided to change their last names to Everly. And there they set up shop helping the city of Omaha, Nebraska with the world's oldest profession, with prostitution. Also, on a quick cuter note before we get into a bunch of raunchy stuff, the name Everly, because again, I don't know how on earth you would come up with the name Everly from the last name Sims, if it's to be believed, came from the way that the sisters' grandmother used to sign off on letters at the end by writing Everly yours. So that's just a very cute little thing.
That is really cute.
That's actually really wholesome.
It's extremely wholesome. But I'm like,
man,
oh, this is so cute. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
So they were in Virginia, you said?
Yes.
They went all the way from Virginia to Omaha, Nebraska?
Yep, in a traveling, theater troupe type thing.
That's a long way back in 1800 something.
Yep, in 1898 is whenever they finally set up roots in Omaha, Nebraska. So these sisters took $35,000 back then, which is a lot. Let me put my calculator up very, very quickly.
Whoa.
It's even a lot of money today, so...
Okay, I just looked it up. $35,000 converted from 1898 to now is about $1.3 million. So even though they say they were not as wealthy, I guess maybe they got it all.
They're still
pretty damn wealthy.
They weren't exactly uncomfortable, like they were
not
they
at
were
all.
fine.
But they took this $35,000 that they had gotten from traveling and performing, as well as an inheritance. I don't know where the inheritance came from, and opened their first brothel in 1898 in Omaha. And almost the second that they opened it, the International Trans-Mississippi Expo, which is was a huge
like a World
thing.
Fair kind of
like
thing?
a World Fair type thing, happened to come into Omaha, Nebraska on June 1st, almost the day that they opened up.
Were brothels legal then?
I don't believe so.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I know a lot of states were like, nope.
No, I do not believe that it was legal.
I mean, counterpoint. Does it matter if they were loaded?
I mean, yeah.
They were also women, so yeah, I would say it did.
That is a good point. Yeah, sure.
Unfortunately.
It's a lot of factors to consider here.
It is called the world's oldest profession for a reason. But this expo ran from June 1st to November 1st in 1898. And this is the very late 1800s, like literally 1898 we're talking about. So a train expo, turn of the century, in the middle of the United States, had a lot of visitors running through Omaha.
Oh, yeah.
One source said that the fair drew in more than 2.6 million attendees.
Oh, I believe it.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I believe it.
And after the expo was done and over, the girls had double their initial investment of $35,000 to $70,000 US dollars than the 1900s, which again is now equivalent to $2.6 million.
So they made their money back.
They doubled their money in their initial investment. Plus, apparently they were still making income before they decided to actually close up shop in Omaha. And they went on a tour of the United States, but not just any tour. They went around the entire United States touring brothels and trying to find the best brothels in America.
I was going to joke saying the Great Brothel Tour, but that's literally what they did.
How could you forget the Great Brothel Tour?
Thelma
is what this
and Louise
episode's
go to
called.
brothels.
Perfect.
There we go. We already got the title right there.
Let's go.
But they went around touring all the best brothels, looking for the best ladies to start up another brothel.
So they were trying to collect the Infinity Stone of brothel ladies.
Infinity Stone of brothels.
Brothels.
All right.
And ladies
We're trying to
of the
make
night.
we're trying to make the NBA All-Star team here.
Yes, we are. They got LeBron James. We
Yeah,
got all of
exactly.
them.
Disclaimer, LeBron James is not involved with brothels. We just want to...
LeBron?
Yeah,
I mean, as far as we know.
Not that we know of.
We're not making any allegations.
Lexi's not making any allegations, yes. But they went around interviewing, and they would actually do face-to-face interviews with the women, trying to find, like, legitimately the best women and the best, like, ladies of the night in the United States.
Right.
And then also from that, they tried to find a place that had the most, like, opportunities and the best place to actually set up to start a brothel in a market that did not have a very high class, like, sought after area that needed. There was a like gap in the market is what the word I was looking for.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But they ended up doing all this, and they ended up landing in Chicago of all places. And they purchased a shitty brothel in Chicago that I don't have the name of, fired all of the former ladies.
Oh.
Gutted all
Didn't
the
even
rooms.
let them keep a cleaning job or anything?
No.
They're like, no, bye.
No, bye. No, but apparently
we good.
The Everly sisters straight up fired all of them, gutted all the rooms, and created the most expensive brothel that I know of in the United States history.
Oh my God.
The Chicago Tribune described the Everly as having 50 of the most luxuriously decorated rooms for the courtesans and guests alike.
50? Wow.
Yes, 50.
That's a lot.
Oh my God.
The walls were all apparently made of mahogany and walnut paneling. The rooms would be lined in tapestries, oriental rugs, statues. What?
The tapestries. That reminds me of Timothy Dexter.
Timothy Dexter.
Oh no.
Don't put tapestries and oriental rugs in a boom boom room. Stop it.
In a room where there will be fluids. Like don't do that.
Don't do it.
Oh my God.
They needed to have wooden floors. Extend the mahogany to the floors.
But there were gold framed nude paintings.
Exquisite.
And an entire library for the more sophisticated gooners out there, where the words.
Oh my god, no! You did not just use that word. No.
Yes.
Is there a better word? Like,
Yes.
but there's no better word
For
in the modern English.
self-pleasure.
Okay. But
I hate the word. No, I hate the word gooning.
we gotta take a break.
I had a 5-minute rant to you in real life when you said something about goon, and I'm like, I don't get it. It makes me think of a Batman Lego game. Whenever I think of the word goon, I think of like a Joker goon, and like I gotta beat 10 Joker goons in the Lego Batman. Like, I hate it. Sorry.
I think I remember when the Goon talked about how like his username when he made it at the time, Goon wasn't like, it didn't mean that like culturally, and now he's just like, well, I mean, crap. Like,
Buddy,
I guess I'm stuck with his name now. It's my whole brand.
Oh my god.
That's so good.
Okay, anyway, rants aside. Okay, so very lavish. We had nude paintings on the walls.
Lavish.
Okay.
There was the grand ballroom, which was a... Oh my gosh, Lex. I didn't even think of that. Which was adorned in gold and had what was described as a special wood mosaic pattern. And there are images of this, and one of the only images I could find, it almost looks like diagonal cuts of wood, and I'm assuming it was mahogany or also a very expensive type of wood. And apparently had a $15,000 gold leaf piano.
Why?
Again, Lexi, you're going to ask why a lot.
Golden piano? Like, what?
There were themed rooms for the guests, including
Kinky.
It's not as kinky as you would think.
Oh, dang. It's not like a jungle or anything?
No, there was themed rooms,
Dang.
including a copper room, which the walls were covered in beaten copper for some reason.
Oh, that would stink.
Okay.
Okay.
Not like literally think of like sniffing pennies. Like, ugh.
Brother,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what gets me going.
Brother,
Yeah.
this sounds terrible. Anyway, sorry. I'm
There
so
was
sorry.
There was the silver parlor, which if it's anything like the copper room, was probably lined in silver-trimmed chairs and such.
Oh, joy.
The Turkish room, which I believe had a bunch of rugs and was very much themed like that. The
Okay.
rose parlor. Most people's favorite, the Japanese throne room.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Which,
That
if
sounds
you're
cool.
watching the video version of this, you will see a picture here. I have to find it very quickly to send to my co-hosts.
I like how you put it in the memes channel.
Oh, this is a legitimate like from back then. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
an actual photo.
That's a cool ass room. That one's cool.
There are a lot of very cool rooms in this place.
That one's very cool.
I can send a couple more photos. You will be seeing a lot of these photos as we go along.
Let's go.
Here was the blue bedroom, which again was just very lavishly decorated.
Oh, it looks very blue.
Yeah, shut up. It's in black and white.
Oh my goodness.
And then here is that grand ballroom that I told you had the very, quote, sophisticated wood floors that they talked about. But
Oh yeah.
if you look at how garish and all the crazy stuff that the
Oh
walls are,
wow.
that was
that is
every room of this building.
Okay, those look awesome. Those look
Yes.
awesome. I don't want the copper room. That smells like pennies. No.
No,
Right.
here's just a
Ugh.
hallway, by the way, for these by the way, all of these things are extremely if you imagine the most gaudy things with gold trim and
Oh yeah.
carpets and or not even carpets, just rugs all over the place and all of this stuff for the audio listeners. It is just imagine dripping in old wealth, basically.
I mean, it kind of screams like Gilded Age stuff. I mean, I
Yes,
know they were
very
doing
much.
this into the turn of the century, but all of this looks very Gilded Age.
This is the rose parlor. Again, look, literally even the ceilings have
Oh, that's
rose.
pretty.
Yeah.
Gosh, the ceilings look molded though. I think that's just a picture, but
Yeah, I know.
ew.
I think that's meant to be decoration.
Yeah.
Because the texture looks similar to the wall sidings at the top there, but it does not look great.
Yeah.
No, it does not. That
Interesting,
was
okay.
how but yes, it's just very well done. The Japanese throne room, which again, for those describing, had just straight up a tiny little Japanese throne up on on a couple steps.
Yeah, built
and
like
was
a
a
fake stage or something.
Yeah, like a little fake stage and a pedestal and all sorts of stuff like that.
Looks like there's fireplaces in every room.
Yes. But these rooms, even though they're all covered in gold, were not as gold as the, quote, gold room.
Oh my god. Or should I say, oh my gold?
Oh my gold. Which, if you could believe it, was a room filled to the gills in gold, and I use gills specifically, because in the room, there was a fish bowl that was rimmed in gold.
Oh my god, why? Doesn't that kill him?
I don't know. I'm not a fish.
I don't think they cared either. I don't
think they care if they're in a gold fish bowl. They're just like, I'm a fish.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And like even the people who own it too at the fish dye, they'll be like, well, we got a bunch of money.
We'll get a new fish.
Let's just recycle fish every day. There you go.
We'll just not even put a fish in there. We'll just make it like an art installation.
Yeah.
Well, it's made like a paper mache fish. Now, wait, no, paper mache would just break.
It would just melt apart, Eric.
A couple hours and just like a pile of paper just in the water.
Okay, I'm getting too distracted. Okay, so
sorry,
very lavish rooms here.
Sorry, in this golden room, I have to mention this as well. There was a second golden piano, except this one was miniature. I don't think as expensive as the gold leaf piano. And did I mention that in each and every single room in this entire establishment, there was a, quote, perfume fountain, as well as a $650 golden spittoon in each and every room.
Why was there a perfume fountain?
I don't know.
For all the stank?
I'm assuming for the stank of the time.
I mean, I understand the spittoon and like, you know, obviously
why is it
you
gold,
can,
Lexi?
I mean, I don't know, but like that you could wash, like.
By the way, if you converted $650, that is $24,000 for each of the spittoons in each of the rooms, by the way.
In every
extra.
This whole place is very extra, Lexi.
I'm sure you're gonna get here too. Could like random people just come here, or did you have to be invited?
Lexi, it's like you're reading my outline.
Good.
On opening day of the Everly Club, they actually turned away almost all patrons that attempted to come inside, as the sisters didn't deem most of their guests on opening day to be suitable, and that they were looking for more upscale clientele. Okay. In fact, to be deemed worthy to actually even get into the Everly Club, you had to either have a letter of recommendation from an already existing member.
What?
Or you needed an, quote, engraved card, which I don't know what that is, but I'm assuming
probably
like maybe
a little
if you
gold card that's got your name or something.
If you spent enough money there, maybe you would get one that you could pass along to a friend. Or you had to be personally handpicked by the Everly sisters themselves and invited. Those are the only three ways that you could actually get into the Everly Club. Reporters apparently were allowed in much more often because they liked the free publicity.
Right.
But yeah, those are the three ways that the average person could get inside.
Wow. And
after you got inside, or even before you got inside, there was, of course, minimum amounts that you were expected to spend to even get in the door.
Right.
There was a $10 entrance fee, which is $375 today.
Mm-hmm.
The amenities were a $12 bottle of wine, which is $50 today. $50 dinner or a $25 supper. I don't know what the difference is between dinner or supper.
I think it's probably going by old rules where dinner is lunch and supper is in the evening.
Oh, that makes sense then.
I think so.
That's a thing.
Oh yeah, that's my grandparents. Very Midwestern from Illinois. They always said dinner and supper.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the for dinner, a $50 dinner is equivalent to $1,800, and the $25 supper is $900 today, respectively. By the way.
Wow.
And on these menu items, you could get such things as duck, caviar, lobster, deviled crab, fried oysters, goose, and of course champagne. And after dinner or supper, you could spend $50 to spend an evening with one of the Everly butterflies, which is, of course, what the girls were called.
Also, quick interjection. Apparently, also, dinner is a more larger, substantial meal that might be fancy, versus supper is more lighter, informal, conversational.
Okay. There we go. Thank you for the history lesson, Lexi.
You're welcome.
There we go. We're learning.
We are. But also, regardless of what you ended up purchasing, if you purchased dinner or supper or whatever, if you did not spend at least $50 on each visit, you could potentially risk losing admission to the Everly permanently. So they could ban you if you didn't spend over $50 per visit.
Oh my goodness. Then why not just charge people up front? Like, don't even worry about having to kick them out.
Apparently, the average amount that was spent per guest was $100 to $500 per visitor. So
wow.
They very much tried to have the very wealthy clientele, and they got it. But if you were looking for some private time with some of these wonderfully beautiful butterflies, you could, of course, get private rooms. And these women were, of course, the top-of-the-line women the Everleys have stated. The Everleys had standards and employed 30 ladies. And there were rules for them, as you'd expect after all of this. And here they are. You must be 18 years or older, so they had at least...
Thank God.
Things back then, yes.
I would hope. Yeah.
They must have an attractive face and figure. You must wear evening gowns exceptionally well.
I mean, okay.
They must appear modest and know how to charm men of the world. And they must have scheduled checkups with the club's own personal physician. So,
okay.
And I don't know if this was a rule, but the girls were instructed to use low, gentle voices as to not scare away any clients or anything like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And each of the girls pocketed between $100 and $400 a week, which is a crazy amount of time, if you can believe it, especially for women in the 1900s. As the sisters had a mantra that, quote, and I'm going to make sure that this is stated, this is not me, this is one of the Everly sisters, quote, one client is preferable to 10 $5 ones, less wear and tear, end quote.
You know, that's a really crude way to put it, but they're kind of right. That,
yes.
You know, the less people that are coming in and being nasty, the better off for the women's health, and you know what I mean. Like, if you only had a handful of clients versus multiple a day, like, ugh.
Yes, exactly.
Which I'm not shaming sex workers at all. I just,
of course not, no.
Creepy people be creepy. That's all that's my thought.
People be creepy, unfortunately.
That's why I absolutely mentioned the thing about, this is not my quote, because even it's very crude. Yeah.
It is very true, but it's so vulgar.
It's
like
so nasty they're comparing these women to like cars or like a horse. That's what grosses me out.
It was the 1900s. Like, that's probably the nicest thing that was said about a woman at the time.
I guess that's true. I mean, hey, I gotta say, I mean, that if they also had like a resident doctor, hopefully they were being looked at and like made sure that they were taken care of. Yeah, so
they were getting health care, so you know that's already a pretty big
at least a step in the right direction. You know, giving people some dignity.
It absolutely was. And speaking of dignity, Lexi, again, it's like you've read my outline. During the time, there was a negative connotation, and there still is, that can be gained from going to a brothel or seeing a lady of the night, as you'd expect. But going to the Everly would actually enhance someone's reputation.
Because it meant they're rich.
Exactly. Men would actually boast publicly, saying, I'm getting Everly tonight, which became so popular that it ended up becoming a misnomer, and helped create the phrase getting laid. They would say, I'm getting ever laid, and it became the word getting laid.
Oh my God.
Let's go!
Wow.
And this isn't the only coining of a commonly used term that the Everleys helped create, though, which is crazy to me. There's an anecdote that one of the butterflies was named, and I swear, Susie Poontang.
Excuse me, what?
Yes. Susie Poontang?
Can we even say that?
I mean, it's her name. It's a woman's name. I'm just saying a name.
I don't know if the YouTube algorithm will like that, but that's also really funny.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. I mean, it's not... It's a slang word.
That's a woman's name. Yeah, it's a woman's name, Lexi. What are you talking about?
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's fine.
But I don't need to explain what that this woman's last name and middle name connotation means. But
that was her middle name and her last name.
Well, it's probably a fake stage name, but again, the term of her middle and last name did not actually come into was not a term for vagina or anything until the 1920s, so they do actually believe that this might have helped popularize the term poontang.
Wow.
I mean, she must have been really good at her job. That's the way she's remembered. That's
Whoa.
I said, imagine being so good at sex that they quite literally make a slang word for your vagina's name.
Oh my god.
That's how I want to go down in history.
Thank God we're not monetized. I don't think any of that would have passed.
Yeah, I was going to say, if this was still on the Gurdon channel, it would tank it so
but
hard.
it's fine. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Let's go.
Goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I don't know if there is a term for this phenomenon or doing this action, but the custom of drinking champagne from a woman's shoe actually came from the Everly as well.
Yo, shoey.
That's a shoey's an Australian thing. But drinking the champagne from a woman's shoe came from the Everly after one of the aides of Prince Heinrich from Prussia poured champagne into a woman's slipper and drank it. And so you can thank the Prussians for being the original gripper lovers and creating one of the oddest customs I had heard of.
So that's some kinky stuff there. No hate, but that's very interesting.
Wow.
Yes, and also if you caught that, a prince from Prussia actually came to the Everly. So that was the type of clientele that they did.
And they were doing high bar stuff.
They were. Speaking of high bar things, Eric, thank you for that. While sex, of course, was on the menu, as you'd expect at a brothel, apparently the Everly was known and had a reputation for being very promiscuous, for offering their clients something special that you couldn't get at almost any other place.
Oh, dear God.
Oral sex.
Yo!
Oh, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that because as the tides have kind of turned in the 2000s into now, I did not know that oral sex was as taboo as it was. And I can't remember where I heard this or read this, so forgive me for this, but this is a quote from something, is that back in the day, oral sex used to be like reserved for after you've done other things versus the other way around in like more modern culture, which kind of blew my mind. But also people weren't bathing, so I get it.
You know, I was going to say, like, oh, that's surprising to me. And they mentioned that, and I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah, never mind. Never mind.
Never mind.
Yes.
That makes more sense now. That makes more.
And Lexi, you're leading directly into this as well. As I mentioned earlier, they had a physician that was paid for by the club. The physician of the club actually recommended oral sex more than regular sex to help keep the ladies disease-free and, quote, clean of all things, which is wild.
Oh, yeah. Also probably reduce the pregnancy rates, I would think.
Yes, and it's crazy that the thought hadn't occurred until the 1900s to just be cleaner about this entire thing, but here we are nowadays.
Although it kind of sucks because, like, the thing about, like, keeping them disease-free, it's like, oh, no, that's still very possible with all kinds of contact like that. But I could see how back then they probably didn't know that.
You're very right, Lexi. And right along with that again as well, that the even though it was very crazy and very, like, sometimes clean and stuff like that, the Everly got the reputation for being the place to go in Chicago if you wanted to get oral sex at all, as almost no other places were presenting that. And so they were, the Everly, even though they did not create the term, they did help to, again, of course, create the term getting laid, poontang, and there is a possible thought that the BJ word also came from helping at the Everly as well.
That's funny.
No way.
But that is
Ben and Jerry's, yeah.
That's Ben and Jerry's. Yeah, the ice cream came from Chicago.
Wow.
And now I don't know how I could have segued into this at all, but I have to mention Uncle Ned, because I don't know how you could forget Uncle Ned. Uncle Ned was one of the most unique clients that the Everly accepted, and was a man that went only by the name Uncle Ned, and every year, once a year, Uncle Ned would pay to rent out the entire Everly Club by himself, not for anything sexual, not for the bath, not for the dinner or supper. Uncle Ned was a very simple man. All he wanted to do was to put his feet in 2 buckets of ice, to drink a tall glass of sarsaparilla, and shout, "It's a wonderful day for an old-fashioned sleigh ride," while the girls would dance around him and sing Jingle Bells.
What?
I mean,
listen,
different strokes for different folks, right?
If I worked there and I didn't have to touch old nasty Uncle Ned, and I just had to dance and sing Jingle Bells, you best believe my ass would be dancing and singing Jingle Bells. Like, that would be, I'd be like, whew, thank God. I don't have to touch this man.
I wrote in my outline, Lexi, thank you so very much for that. It says, now I don't know if this was the girl's favorite day of the year or their least favorite day, but I aspire when I'm in my whiskey grandpa arc to be like Uncle Ned.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, if I was in the 1900s and I had to work a job like that, that would be my damn favorite day.
That'd be like a day off, honestly. Getting to do that.
Oh, it's Uncle Ned Day. All right, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
Let's go.
I'll go get my Santa outfit on right now.
Right now. I'll get the ice. This was, of course, around the holidays. It wasn't just in the middle of summer, but still, I could
That'd
not.
still be funny. I would do it in the middle of summer for the right dollar amount. I'd be like, I don't care. I don't have to touch you. Thank God.
I don't have to touch you, Uncle Ned. But also, there was another known patron and person that perused the Everly Club. It was a man known only as the Gold Coin Kid, in which he would bring... Well, again, like Lexi, it's the 1900s.
Oh, it's like Billy the Kid. Like,
yeah,
he's actually
it's
okay.
like slang.
Okay,
They're
sorry. I just got a little bit afraid. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Grown man whose nickname was Gold Kid or whatever that was.
The Gold Coin Kid, yes. The Gold Coin Kid would bring a bag of gold coins to the Everly Club. What, Lexi?
Whoa, Gold Coin Kid would bring gold coins?
He would, yes. Oh. And the Gold Coin Kid would request a butterfly named Doll, have her recline on the bed, spread her legs, and then he would toss these golden coins trying to, quote, hit the bullseye.
Oh my God. He was trying to... Oh my God.
Okay.
He was using it as a fountain. Oh my God.
Yeah, and every time that he would hit the bullseye, Doll would get to keep the gold coin. So there you go.
Yo!
Okay.
That is a fantastic way to tip someone.
I
mean, I don't know if that will cause an infection or something, but still.
Based on Lexi's reaction.
Love the presentation.
I mean, here's the thing. Let me think about what words I can use for anybody that might be listening to this in public.
This video's already getting demonetized. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, right. It has no monetize anyway. That would not be comfortable, but at the same time, if it's just like kind of bouncing off, like it's not like going all the way into...
Well, I was going to say, I mean, if you're just like flicking it in, I doubt it's going to like,
right.
Like it's not going to go.
Right.
Like, yeah.
So the chance of infection is probably not very high, but still, that does not sound like a good time. I
just hope it wouldn't hurt. Like, just sitting there getting like
probably
pelted
wouldn't be great. I mean,
well, no, just sitting there getting pelted with some gold coins. Also, this is an actual question for the Canadian in the call. Eric, very, very quick side tangent. Eric, I've heard of a thing in Canada, and I need to know if this is true, if you've heard of this. In Canada, you all have loonies and toonies, right?
Yes.
I've heard
it's loony for $1 and toonies for $2.
I've heard that there is a game in Canadian strip clubs where you can sit there and try to throw loonies and toonies between a girl's cleavage at a strip club for fun. Have you heard about this at all?
I don't mean to out Eric, but I don't know he would be in a strip club where there's cleavage.
I was going to say, I have not been in a strip club where there is women, unfortunately. But I have not heard of that.
Oh, okay.
Do you like slide it down the dong then, like a ramp? You know?
Yes.
Do you?
That's exactly how that works.
The dong?
Like a little slip and slide.
Oh my God.
Like put your fingers on it, use it like a tech deck. Just
like when you go to the arcade and there's that little thing that you put the coins in.
Yeah, and you have to like arc the coins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was envisioning. Yeah. Again, it works for any gender.
It does. There
any
you
gender
go.
can have a coin toss game.
True.
Let's go.
But I had heard that from another Canadian on an old podcast, and I didn't know if you had heard about that, Eric. So I had to question you whenever this once in a lifetime opportunity had come up.
Once in a lifetime opportunity right now. Yeah, I haven't heard of it, but I also haven't been like to many strip clubs ever. So that's probably why
taking you to a strip club when I see you next.
Yeah,
let's go. All right.
But I also wrote in my outline because this was just it's just a real question that I have. I do want to know what events transpired in the gold coin kid's life to where he found out that throwing gold coins was his whole thing and like his whole kink, right? Like, what did you do in your life that made you go like, this is it. This is what gets me going.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what life experience do you like garner to realize this? Like, what?
Like, when was basketball created? Way later, right?
I am really interested to hear how that connects. Hold on.
No, because like maybe he like really liked basketball and like trying to make shots and stuff. Maybe
he just
I
likes
could...
throwing objects in the holes.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter
making
if it's
buckets,
like a vagina or like a basketball net.
Right.
Like it's okay.
Basketball.
That was the connection. Yeah, sorry. Listen, gold
basketball.
coin kid founded basketball.
Basketball was founded in 1891.
Oh, okay. All right.
The gold coin kid
beautiful.
heard of this magical sport with a spherical ball and a hoop and went, I know what my thing is now. This is me.
This is me. This is what I want to do.
Massachusetts, it looks like, so.
Oh.
Huh.
Oh,
Anyway, sorry. Yeah,
that's amazing.
it's very fun. You go to arcade or you're trying to shoot a basketball or something. You're like, oh, cool, making goals. So maybe.
And then you're just rocking. You're like, oh.
Oh my
why?
god. No. Okay. Can we? Okay. So this guy's thing was gold coins. All right. Where are we
There was
going
gold
now?
coins. There was Uncle Ned, and even though that is all crazy, you know what else was crazy? Segregation and racism in a serious moment.
Oh.
Whoa. Okay.
I know.
Yeah, that's a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, you're right, but wow, that was a.
I had a better
Switch
tangent.
up.
I had a better tangent earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt all the fun times and asking about strip clubs. So
Gotcha. Okay,
But-
so I
true.
imagine that the Everly Club participated in segregation. If I had to
the
guess.
Everly Club did absolutely yes, as of course this was the Everly Club existed from the 1900 to 1911. So again, half a century
Ooh, not
plus.
long. Wow.
Well, again, 11 years for a single brothel could be a very long time. They apparently lasted a very long time compared to other of their competitors and stuff.
Interesting.
Also,
okay.
listen. It's better to burn out than to fade away.
True.
Oh,
They
my
burn
goodness.
really hot. Also,
So anyway, on a dark, sad note.
On a dark, sad note about segregation, very quickly, the owners and brothels of the Everly Club were no different than any of the other things that had very segregated roles for women and men. One article that I read said that at the time, there were brothels with dark-skinned women who would only be allowed to attend to black men, and other clubs where lightly-skinned black women would only be allowed to attend to white men. Japanese and Chinese women would only be allowed to service white men as well. It's all messed up. Like, there's very, very specific
That's
rules.
very
with all this.
weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that meant that black men could only be with black women, but then every other woman was just servicing whoever else as long as it wasn't a black man?
I basically believe so, yes. It's still very messed up.
Wow, that's really weird. I mean, yeah, segregation, big fucking boo. Oh, I shouldn't. Oh.
Call attention to it. Good job.
I already said LFG earlier. You're fine.
Looking for group,
Segregation, big boo suck moment, okay? So
that's going to be in a quote.
yeah,
Lexi.
segregation sucks anyway, but like
Lexi,
that's
2025.
weird.
2025.
That's just really weird. You would think that it would be like, oh, okay, white women and white men, and then black women and black men, and then Asian women and Asian men. Like,
Yes.
they got really weird about it. I mean, segregation
But
sucks anyway. But
the Everly mostly only had white women. On one occasion, they had a Spanish woman and a couple Jewish women that were part of their roster. But there were never any black butterflies.
oh,
Yes. Mina Everly is quoted as saying, quote, "Even though I'm a Virginian, I am not intolerant," end quote. They knew that their clientele was extremely white and racist, and so they did not allow the mixing of races at their establishment.
Oh.
So she was very vocal and said,
that's
I'm not...
kind of interesting that she's like, hey, I don't really care, but I know that our clientele is racist, so what would be the point? Because that'd be bad for business and bad for the safety of the girls.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess she is like thinking strictly from a business standpoint, right?
Yeah. Wow.
You know,
and this was the 1900s.
Not to excuse her literally at all. Like, it's still messed up, but
no, this was the 1900s.
I can understand the logic. Yeah, especially for the time.
I'm not really shocked. Even if she was actually racist, I would not be shocked. It's still disgusting, but it's not shocking.
If anything, I'm surprised she said she's not racist.
Right.
Even though I grew up in a racist place, I'm not racist. That's basically what she said.
I want to distance myself.
Yes. But in this murkiness and shitty part of history, there stands one man, one Johnson above the rest. Jack Johnson, to be specific, the first black heavyweight champion of the world in 1909.
Oh.
And in 1909, Johnson was the first black person admitted into the Everly Club. Only because his manager was a powerful member of the Chicago nightlife and brothel industry, so he was allowed inside.
Wow, his manager had to fight for him to get in when he was literally the did you say world heavyweight champion?
Yes, the world heavyweight champion. Yep. That is...
I mean, disappointed but not surprised,
racism
right?
runs deep, so I'm not
exactly.
really shocked, but that's still sad.
But here's the positive part of this that I have been waiting, is that when Johnson was there, Johnson was apparently so enthralling, charismatic, and charming. I can't speak for the qualities of his own Johnson, but this next line might tell you about that a little bit. That apparently 5 of the butterflies left with him whenever he left, and then were all subsequently fired.
Oh my goodness. They're like, yo, this man rocks. Bye.
Oh, that must have... Johnson must have had great Johnson.
Wow.
That must have been... That... Wow.
Exactly.
Either that or he was willing to pay them more money than they were making.
He might have he was the world heavyweight champion. He probably made a lot of money.
Yeah.
But just straight that again, I can't
Good on
actually...
you, Mr. Johnson. Salute.
Exactly. I can't actually speak about whether the term Johnson was talking about actually him, but there is actually ramblings that the term Johnson might have come from Johnson when talking about the Everly Club. So there might be 4 whole terms about anything sexual that have come from this one club in the 1900s.
Wow.
Oh, but while all of this is fun and talking about Johnsons and things like that, there is 2 other things that the Everly was slightly known for. Their murders.
What?
Huh?
So,
bro, this place has all the bad shit. Like,
yeah,
we got like advanced racism. We got murder now. Like, what?
Advanced racism. Oh.
This isn't just regular racist. It's advanced
Yeah,
racism.
for real.
Just Lexi with some lasers in her eyes like flames.
No, I'm not the
You're
advanced
not advanced racism. I know. You're calling it out.
Dear Lord, I hope not.
You being the girl boss and standing up.
But these murders may or may not have taken place at the Everly. There was never actually any official police reports that linked them to the Everly. The son of the creator of Marshall Field's department store, known as Marshall Field Jr., was shot and died from complications days later after being allegedly shot by a butterfly at the Everly. But
I don't know what the story is, but I'm on her side.
Now that's a girl boss.
Exactly. But the newspapers and police reported it as an accident at his own home, so nothing ever really came out of it. But there is a lot of talk, and most people believe that he was shot at the Everly.
I mean, the Everly sisters...
So they were just trying to hide it?
Yeah, they had more than enough money. I mean, they could have easily been like, no, I think he shot himself at home.
By the way,
was at home.
Just like pay the detective off or whatever.
By the way, I could not find the amount, but there is talks that they might have paid like thousands and thousands of dollars per month in bribes alone to keep the Everly from being...
This was in Chicago. This was before like the Al Capone like mafia days.
Exactly.
Like right before that. So you cannot tell me that they were not paying off police and reporters and all
or
this
that the
stuff.
police weren't just coming in there and getting free sex and being like,
Right.
oh yeah, there's nothing happening
trading
here.
for services. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I have no proof. That lines up with some of the stuff that was going on in Chicago in the subsequent decades, so.
Lexi's third twice removed aunt is actually one of the Everlys. Just kidding, though, but of course. But that was
It wouldn't be
one
old
of the,
enough. It'd be like great, basically.
Great cousin, yeah. But that was one of the murders. And then as well as a golfer named Nathaniel Moore, who was apparently a very big golfer in the early 1900s.
They were golfing in the early 1900s?
Yeah, they were
I
golfing
didn't know
a
that.
long time. But his name, Nathaniel Moore, died of natural causes at a different brothel nearby after getting kicked out of the Everly after going on a 2 to 3 day long drug and alcohol bender.
Oh my god.
But was kicked out because they didn't want him to be doing drugs at their establishment. But it is assumed that he might have possibly died or overdosed at the Everly before being moved to another brothel with the power that the Everlys actually held in the area. So
I mean, that kind of makes sense. They wouldn't want somebody to be dying on their grounds, even if it's kind of his own fault.
Absolutely. You don't want that at all.
It's still wrong. It's wrong to go like drop him off somewhere else and go, see, he was over here.
He was here first, not us.
That's kind of not their fault that he was just on a giant bender, unless they were encouraging it.
No, they very much did not like. They only served champagne and wine. They did not serve spirits. They did not serve beer. They tried to be like the most high class, highfalutin, like, oh, yes,
I wouldn't
fancy.
think they would want people to be drunk and disorderly, so.
No. Because then also you might rat some stuff out. But they actually even handed out posters. And there's a poster, if I can find that image really quickly, that actually was just spread around town that advertised the place. It was just how much that people knew about the Everly Club. I have a bunch of sources open, so I have to find it. But, oh yeah, here you go. Here is the poster for the Everly Club. It's the bottom one.
Neat.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Wow.
That is a book that is based on the
poster.
Poster, yes.
Wow.
But okay, because I was gonna say, like, having it in full color, jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they can make colored posters. It would just be like paintings or
it would be a
like
drawing.
That, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it probably costs a lot, but they could probably afford it.
Yes, they could. So, and speaking of Eric, thank you for that perfect segue.
I
could not find the exact numbers because it's, of course, what was income, what was profit, what was this, what was actually, and it was the 1900s, of course, so it's going to be all very crazy. But there are talks that at the peak of the Everly, it was possibly making up to $15,000 in pure profit a week, which is over $500,000 in today's money. And that is after paying all 30 girls, paying 25 to 40 chefs and maids, as well as bribes to officials, reporters, police, and members of the general public as well. So that is pure profit at that point.
Bribes to officials.
Yes.
I hope the women were paid decently for this.
I said they were. Remember, I told you earlier.
Good,
I think it was 100 to 400 a week, which is quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's
especially
a lot.
Especially for,
that's
having
awesome.
Limited opportunities at the time.
Absolutely. One of the Everly sisters, one of them was much more like outgoing and much more like the face of the establishment. The other one was kind of the one that ran it behind the business. Mina was the one that was the madam, like the main madam that would do all the talking and introduce it, while Ada was the one that was like running things behind the scenes. And I believe Mina claimed that after the club was closed, which we're going to get to shortly, she always entertained state legislators free in the club. So that's how much that that's how much influence and things that they had to get them.
Abe Lincoln, you would have loved the Everly Club. He was from Illinois.
Rip Abe Lincoln, he missed the Everly.
He missed the Everly.
He actually did. Sad.
Oh, man.
Sad.
He would have loved... What was her name?
I don't know. Maybe he wouldn't have, because he did have a wife. So
he would have loved Susie Poontang.
Yeah,
Maybe.
historical fact. Abraham Lincoln would have loved poontang. Pass it on.
True. All right, that's going in my quote folder for Lexi.
Perfect.
No.
Turn that into a YouTube short. Anyway.
Abraham Lincoln would have loved poontang. After being open for 11 years and servicing only the nicest members of society, the Everly, under pressure from moral groups and the Chicago Vice Commission, closed on October 24th, 1911. And there was,
yeah, because this would have been probably, it was a little bit before, but around Prohibition and stuff like that.
right before Prohibition, so the big moral panic and people saying,
being like, we need to be a proper society.
Absolutely. But there is one story, and I could not find the source, but one of them straight up said that they threw a giant party the night that they were supposed to close, and invited all of, because they were supposed to close at midnight on like October 24th midnight or 12:01 or whatever. And so they threw a gigantic party and invited every single person that was highfalutin, and even the police officers. And then once then it hit midnight, then they just shut the doors in the middle of the party, basically. But
wow,
I thought that was crazy and insane. But the Everly Sisters sold the club and everything within for $1 million in cash, bonds, stocks, and jewelry. I didn't know you could pay for a building and jewelry.
Oh, hell yeah. You got two women running it back in the 1900s. Oh, yeah.
True.
Fun fact, actually, about that. That is why wedding rings and things like that got quite popular among women, because before women could have bank accounts, credit cards, all that, because that took forever, honestly. That was kind of like their insurance policy. That was one thing that they had, that if shit hit the fan, they could go sell that gold ring and get some money out of it. So, fun fact.
The more you know, Lexi, with the knowledge about women, it's almost like you are one.
Whoa.
That is wild.
Lexi go, ooh, just so shocked.
Oh, what?
She didn't know.
I didn't know.
Exactly. But eventually, after the closure of the Everly Club, the Everly Sisters moved from Chicago. They tried to move somewhere more like away from where the Everly Club originally was, but then they kept getting harassed by people that were saying, "Oh, you're morally bankrupt," and blah, 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 and like threatening them.
Yada yada. Boo boo boo.
Cry me a freaking
I'm a
river.
millionaire.
So what? I owned a brothel. Okay.
But they moved in Chicago, and they were harassed so much that they ended up moving to Europe, which after staying in Europe for a few years, they eventually moved back to America, and they moved to New York City under entirely different names, so that way people wouldn't know that they ran the brothel, and lived the remainder of their lives rich as shit, as you'd expect.
Oh, yeah.
And running a poetry group. So
love that for them.
I know. That was
love
a nice
that
thing.
for
Yeah,
them.
like, that is fantastic, but that's quite the career change.
It is. Well, I mean, if you think about it, they were originally performers.
Yeah.
They were in a theater group when they first started, and they were known for doing this. So, I mean, what do you do when you have infinite money in the 1900s? There's not like, I'm going to get into
People
crypto.
have said you're morally bankrupt. You know?
Oh, well, I'm not financially bankrupt, and then you buy their house.
Power move, power play.
The biggest power play. But there are a couple of books that were actually named, or not named after this, but that they fictionalized events that happened in the Everly Club. In the novel The Golden Room by Irving Wallace, there is an entirely fictionalized account of the visit by Prince Henry of Prussia to the Everly Club, where that champagne shoe thing happened. But the Everly Club was very, very big in Chicago, and I believe that after the Everly Club shut down, years and years and years later, another person bought it in like the 1990s and turned it just into a regular bar, which then shut down again. But
wow.
The Everlys died on Ada died in 1960, and Nina died in pretty old, and then Mina died in 1948. But
whoa, wow, she lived to see the one that died in 1960. She literally lived to see the very beginnings of the sexual revolution. Wow, that is crazy.
Dang.
But that is the story of the Everly
I'm
Club.
so sorry. You would have loved the sexual revolution.
Abraham Lincoln would have loved
go.
poontang.
True.
and the Everly...
Mina or Ada, which one died in 1960?
Ada died in 1960.
Ada, you would have loved the sexual revolution.
True, girl.
You're not morally bankrupt anymore.
True, but that is the special Valentine's Day episode. There's not much love. I mean, there's a specific type of love in this episode, but
right, lust.
Lust. But yeah, that is the story of the Everly Club and the Everly Sisters.
You know what's really interesting about that? There is no relation between the Playboy Mansion and the Everly Club at all, other than the fact that the Playboy Mansion had kind of that like Gilded Age style design. And I'm just like, man, there are so many similarities between this. Of course, the Playboy Mansion was not actually, I don't think, ever actually considered a brothel, but there's just so many similarities there. And I was like, is there a link? And I guess there's not. So I find that kind of interesting.
Yes, true. There's a lot that's all about this. And again, it's why I kept referring back to the phrase, the oldest profession in history, which I looked up. And the oldest profession in history is actually a tool maker. So I've been lied to, and I've been lying to all of you.
Probably the oldest profession for women.
Probably.
I would say.
Well, yeah.
I think that's why, because again, it's that saying, and because we're already demonetized, that sex sells. So I mean, if you can literally sell sex, then I mean,
to go on a little bit of a rant, I won't go too deep, but I think it's also because historically, as we know, women have been treated kind of like property, and you know, obviously when you're talking about that kind of stuff and like ownership, it makes a lot of sense that for an economic opportunity, a lot of women just had to say, okay, guess I'm going to sell my services, which is kind of selling my body. And that was really all they could do for a long time. So that being said, you know, support sex work. We support sex work in this house. And, yeah, that's basically my PSA. Support sex work, and practice safe sex, practice consent. Because I don't know if a lot of that was going on at this club.
So, very quickly about that, just to build on what you were saying, Lexi. This is from the source Freakonomics.com, one of the sources I got a lot of this information from. But during one particular survey in 1910 on the Chicago Vice Commission report, they asked a bunch of women of the night why they entered the, quote, sporting life, which I didn't know that's what they called it back then.
Interesting.
9
they
women
were playing basketball.
That was it. 9 women answered that they were seduced. 3 could not earn enough to live by any other means. 2 were enticed into the life by other women. 2 were, quote, too ignorant to do any ordinary work. 2 lost their husbands by death, and 2 by desertion. 2 said they were naturally bad. One said she was born with the devil in her.
I'm a bad bitch.
Yes.
That's funny.
And then 2 said they wanted to afford fine clothing, and 2 were ruined by a drink. So.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, a lot of people, hey, this is my only opportunity to make a decent amount of money, or hey, I've already been labeled as a bad person in society and or have substance abuse issues, so might as well.
Yes.
Yeah, guess this is what I'm supposed to do.
Under that same report, by the way, the Red Light District of Chicago's annual profits were calculated, quote, ultra-conservatively, so extremely on the low end, at nearly $16 million per year. And again, this was 1910's money. The report counted no fewer than 1,020 brothels in Chicago alone, and 5,000 full-time prostitutes, a number that did not account for the thousands of streetwalkers, part-timers, and girls who hustle on the side.
Whoa.
So, and one madam at a 50-cent brothel testified before the commission that she and just one prostitute earned $175 to $200 per week. And she claimed that she herself entertained 60 men in one night for 50 cents each.
Oh my God.
I mean, if you're good at it,
that is
like,
equally heartbreaking and impressive.
She had $7,000 in the bank, is what the last of the quote says. So.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. And that's early 1900s money.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Wow. You know, it's really interesting that you talked about this today, because I think it's fascinating that they got any data on this at all. And I have a feeling, I think you mentioned that it was pretty conservative, and I don't know if it was just the financial figures, but like even the women that they surveyed and like trying to get the numbers of like how many brothels there were and all this stuff, like I guarantee you that is an underreported number. I bet you it was way more than that. And a lot of people just didn't want to come forward. And it's very interesting that that was over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And we are still in a similar position of people are afraid.
Like it's so taboo.
Yeah, people are afraid to come out about it. People are afraid to support it because there's this movement of it's immoral and you're morally bankrupt. And it's just like, y'all, they were doing this 100 years ago. They were doing this 300 years ago. Like, for Pete's sake.
Just let me get it in. Gosh.
Yes.
It's not so hard.
Just accept that people are freaky. And if they're consensually freaky, why do we care?
So
like I said, they have to be
true.
freaky the way I want them to be freaky.
They have to be freaky and
Exactly.
report that freakness to the IRS, okay?
If your freak don't match my freak, then you're a freak.
That's it, kind of, actually.
Listen, the IRS, like, we don't care if you're freaky as long as you're reporting it, although they do care, so.
They
That's
care.
unfortunate.
Exactly.
Speaking of the freaks, thank you to the freaks over on Patreon for supporting this show. You all
Absolutely.
have been great.
We need it, especially after this episode.
But
yeah, if this channel ever gets monetized, we know
this
we are making money off of
episode
this. So.
ain't gonna make a dollar.
Right.
But it was just too good of a story to not share. So I'm glad that you all liked it. At least I hope you all did, and the viewers at home as well.
I mean, if you made it this far in, you probably liked it.
Yeah. I would
or
hope
you
so.
don't know how to pause it.
That would be
I mean, either
very
way,
awkward.
we get watch time.
I'm
you know?
very sorry if you didn't know how to pause this recording. I'm very
Let's see, if
sorry.
you've gotten this far in life and you're already using YouTube, I feel like you should know. But you know.
Who knows?
If you're having, so one last thing, if you are having the worst sleep paralysis and you can't turn this off, I'm so sorry. That's all I want to say. But
Of course.
Imagine if someone had like sleep paralysis and they woke up to this just on the autoplay and they had to listen to it.
Gosh.
That'd be great. That'd
We're
be
so
fun.
maybe like,
sorry.
that's funny.
All right.
That being
All right,
said,
Lexi, hit us with the puns.
stay safe out there, friends. Foreverly be safe.
Yes.
Hey, we got one. She did
May
it.
you foreverly not get STDs.
Get ever laid. Let's go.
Respect sex workers, practice safe sex, and please don't throw gold coins at people's genitals. That does not sound like a good time at all.
No.